Good morning, children, and welcome to my new class. So, here we are, and we'll be starting the last class. This is the lesson 4. This is written by Alphonse Daudet, and it's a very famous story. And this story is set in the French province of Alsace. It is 1870, and the Franco-Prussian War, which was fought between the French and the Prussians, like the Germans, has just ended with an immense German victory. The state schools in France have been taken over by the German authorities, and the German has become the medium of instruction. So let us see what this story is about and what do we basically learn from this lesson. So let us start it quickly and let us read it. I was very late for school that morning and I was afraid of being scolded, especially as Monsieur Hamel had told us he should examine us on participles. So here he is talking about the grammar rules. And I did not know the first thing about them. For a moment I thought of staying away from school. It was such a warm, lovely day. I could hear blackbirds whistling, and in the field behind the sawmill, the Prussians going through their drill. So, here basically in this very first paragraph, the author has explained the mindset of a small boy who has got very late for the school and he is fascinated by his surroundings. He doesn't want to go to school because he is afraid of his teacher. And the name of the teacher is Monsieur Hamel. Monsieur means Mr. in French. Okay. As I passed the mayor's office, I saw that there were people gathered about the little board on which notices were posted for 2 years. All our bad news had come from that board. Battles lost, conscriptions, and I thought without stopping, what can it be now? Now, why does he say that all the bad news came from there only? Because the war was going on between the French and the Germans, and whenever there was a battle lost or some loss of lives or any kind of bad news, it was displayed on that notice board. So now when he saw that there was a lot of crowd over there, he started thinking, why are so many people gathered here? Then as I ran across the square, Watcher the blacksmith, who stood there reading the board, called out to me, "Don't hurry so, my boy. You will get to your school soon enough." So he was in a hurry because he was getting late for the school. So Watcher, the blacksmith who was standing there, he asked him to calm down and not to run so fast because he said that you have enough time to go to school. I thought that he was making fun of me and I ran into Monsieur Hamel's little yard all out of breath. Now he was out of breath. Why was he out of breath? Because he was running too fast in order to reach the school. Now, usually at the beginning of school, there was a great uproar which could be heard in the street, desks opening and closing, lessons repeated aloud in unison, and the teacher's stout ruler beating on the desk. Now, this was a usual scene at the school, in the beginning of the school. There was a lot of hustle bustle, lot of noise, children coming to the school, lot of noise was there. I had counted on all this noise to reach my bench unnoticed. But that day, as it happened, everything was quiet. But today it was very different from the previous days. It was very quiet. Through the open window, I saw my comrades already in their places. So, what do you mean by comrades? Here, comrades refers to his friends, his partners. And Monsieur Hamel walking back and forth with the terrible iron ruler under his arm. I had to enter in the midst of that perfect silence filled with both shame and fear. So he was filled with both shame and fear. But Mr. Hamill, who looked at me with no sign of anger, said very gently, "Go at once to your seat, my little Franz. We were going to begin without you." Now, the first change that he noticed was that it was quiet that day. The second thing that he noticed was that Mr. Hamill was quite calm. He was not at all angry, and in fact, he asked him to go to his seat because he wanted to start with his lesson. Now, in this paragraph, we come to know the name of the boy, and it is Franz. I stepped over to the bench and sat down at my desk. When I had partly recovered from my fright, I noticed that our teacher had a handsome coat. Now, this is the third thing that he is noticing. The teacher was wearing a very beautiful coat. His plaited ruff and the black embroidered breeches which he wore on the day of inspection or of distribution of prizes. So, this day, their teacher, M. Hamill, was wearing his coat, that same coat which he normally wore on inspection or distribution of prizes day. Moreover, there was something extraordinary, something solemn. What do you mean by solemn? Solemn means serious. Here they have given it. About the whole class. Now he noticed all these things, but he found that there was something quite serious about the class that day. But what surprised me most was at the back of the room some men from the village sitting. Now, this was the fourth strange thing that he noticed, that at the back of the room some villagers were sitting, as silent as we were. And who all were they? They were old Hauser, the ex-mayor, the ex-postman, and others. They all seemed depressed, and Hauser had brought an old spelling book with gnawed edges. Gnawed means not very clear. Here, the ends of the pages were worn out as the book was old, which he held wide open on his knee. While I was wondering at all this, Mr. Hamill said to us in the same gentle and serious voice with which he had welcomed me, "My children, this is the last time that I shall teach you. Orders have come from Berlin to teach nothing but German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. These were the two states which were taken over by the Germans. The new teacher arrives tomorrow. This is the last class in French, so I beg you to be very attentive." Now here he tells them that that day was their last class. Those few words overwhelmed me. Ah, the villains! That was what they had posted at the mayor's office. Now he understood that the notice board, which was displayed outside the mayor's office, had this information. Now I hope that this is clear to you, and we'll continue in my next class. So I want you all to read it till here. Try to find out all the difficult word meanings and be ready for my next class. So have a nice day and keep learning.